Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TennoCon 2023 Sounds of the System panel over here on the main stage at TennoCon. We are going to take a little bit of a look back at the 10 years of Warframe and what it has sounded like. I have some amazing guests up here, so if people are heading over to the stage, let's take a moment to introduce them before we dive into everything sound. So closest to me is Miss Rebecca Ford. Hi, Reb. What are you doing up here?
I'm just here to, talk about a couple things. These are the real MVPs of Warframe sound, but I'm just excited to be a part of the sound panel. My name is Rebecca Ford, and I am the Lotus in Warframe.
Very nice. And then George.
Regrettably, for a lot of you.
Yeah. And hi, I'm George Spanos. I'm the audio director at Digital Extremes, and I've been working on this little game for, I guess, 10 years now with
little
these
game.
It's actually
people.
11
Tiny.
for you, George. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hartling, senior sound designer at Digital Extremes. I've been here 13 years now, and it's just been an amazing journey to grow with Warframe, and I'm looking forward to the future. Yeah.
Amazing.
Hey everybody, my name is Eric Preston, lead sound designer on Warframe. It's amazing to see a whole bunch of faces here. It feels like it's been forever. So yeah, super cool that you guys could all join us for this panel, and excited to be here.
Hey everybody, I'm Willem Schonken. I've been at DE for 10 years. Started in 2014, so I guess 9.5 years. But I guess some of you might know some of the sounds I did was on Gera, was Nidus, Baruch, and Gauss, to name a few. So those are some who know me.
Hey guys, I'm Matthew Chalmers. I'm fairly new to Warframe. Just been working on it for the last couple years. I do the music. Very excited to be at my first TennoCon.
We're so happy to have you here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As we're here at TennoCon celebrating 10 years of Warframe, it's inevitable that we're all going to look back at truly how far we've come as game devs, because we've dived into the archives and taken a look at early Warframe, and it sounds and looks a hell of a lot different than it does now.
Yeah.
So before you get to it, I have an asset so we can listen to it, and then we can go from there.
Life support has been replenished.
That melee swing gets me every time. It's so good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Warframe 2014?
Yeah, I mean, 2014, geez, 9 years ago. A lot's changed, but we've tried to keep a lot of consistency as well. I think one of the biggest things for us is making sure we stay true to the original vision we developed, but growing it at the same time. And sounds that we put in back then, some of them you feel like maybe you want to change, but so many of you players are said no, don't change them because you're so used to them and you love them, and so we try to incorporate new with old and make it all kind of live together in this beautiful universe. So
I gotta ask specifically, is the life support sound in that camp? Because that is the same sound that it's been for like 10 years.
it probably is actually. There is a lot of like classic sounds that are still the same. Yeah.
Remember when you tried to change the Bratton firing sound and then reverted it because people loved it?
Yep. That was a whole forum post that was probably like 10 pages deep.
And the heck.
What the heck, right? Because we had developed a new weapon system for triggering, different layers of weapon when you shoot the weapon, different kind of layers of it. And so we got the bright idea, it must have been, 2015 maybe, something like that, to change a few of the weapons. And we were like, oh, this sounds much better now. It's much cleaner, much punchier. And then, boy, you guys let us know what the heck were we thinking. So revert. And but you know what? It's awesome. It just shows that everyone loves a lot of the sounds in the game, which is all we can ask for. So
I think that's the busiest the sound forums have ever gotten.
No, that's not true.
I know, over the 10 years, you've managed to keep Warframe sounding new and fresh, but also the same. So is there like a core thread or like a line that you have to walk over the past decade to keep it feeling Warframe?
I can speak to Warframe's design, specifically the Warframes themselves, I mean.
Yeah.
There's a common thread in the signature that we want to create with those that we still strive for today, is that they all sound unique and they're memorable and iconic, and you could not see them on screen, and you could just hear the sound, and you would recognize what Warframe that sound is from. I think that kind of leads to Valkyr, where we started to add a vocal to it, and that added to another level of memorabilia to it. And so it's been really cool. And I think you worked on that frame, George.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? It's like it's trying to have the consistency and trying to make things feel new and fresh all the time too, right? Yeah.
I mean, you spoke to Valkyr. When we think of like Excalibur and Mag and Volt, their sounds are fairly, like, maybe not simple, but they kind of get right to the point, and there's nothing complicated to it. Whereas Valkyr was any excuse to get Megan to scream into the void, basically.
And that was, I think, the first frame that had a human voice in it.
Yeah.
And we, I mean, everyone knows, they don't speak. And, but, we, I forget what the genesis of the idea was to put a voice in that, but people resonate so much with the human voice, and the battle cry just is such a signature, and it's such a good way of giving that frame its power and its feel.
Yeah,
I mean, speaking. You go first, my friend.
It just has an emotional resonance that comes through.
I mean, like at this point, you have so many Warframes with voices in it. So we have Valkyr, Heaven. You're welcome, Meg. We get to listen to you again. Beautiful. And
Angry
then
Megan.
Angry? Yeah.
Very angry.
You probably told her that anime sucks, and that's all she needed to get to that point. Yeah. And then, Kulervo is our next Warframe with voices, or our latest Warframe with voices in it. But over the years, has lore or different aspects of the game kind of allowed you to do more interesting with Warframe sounds? Or is there anything that you can think of beyond voices?
Sorry, I didn't really hear the question.
No, it's okay. In Warframe's lore, we've learned so much about Warframes themselves. They might not speak, but I mean, the story behind them is definitely something. Has that allowed you to do more interesting things with Warframe sounds? Allowed you to break previous rules that you might have set for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we always try to break the rules, and we always try to think of we try to get, what is the idea behind the frame, and what, is there a strong through line that we can incorporate into the sound? And so like what Jeff said is that, the ideal is that you can close your eyes and hear the sounds and know what the frame is, right? And so that's the main guiding principle. And then just, challenging ourselves, because how many frames do we have now?
53.
Right, so
54 announced later.
So it's getting tough, right? So, but you're always trying to think of what's the next thing we can do. So it's, doing field recording to gather new and unique sounds, working with new plugins, working with new synthesizers and all of that kind of stuff to try to give each frame its own unique personality. So
yeah, some of them have animals in there as well. So
amazing.
And one of them has a saxophone in it, but I'm not going to say which.
What? You can't drop that info.
Michael
Did you
Bolton
play
frame.
it, Red? Is it you?
No, no.
Okay, well, maybe next time. Okay. But speaking of Kulervo, we actually have a fantastic video from Jess on our sound team about the sound design for his abilities. So here we go. Dean, if you want to hit it. I can't see you, but I'm assuming you'll do it.
Hey everyone, it's Jess here from the sound team. Today I'm going to be taking you through a little bit of the sound design from the Kulervo Warframe. Let's take a look. Kulervo is a bit of an angry boy, so we thought it would be unique to incorporate some heavy metal vocals into the sound design for this Warframe. Here is our fellow sound designer Jeff destroying his vocal cords and laying down some screams for the Warframe.
Sorry about your ears.
Thanks, Jeff! With a bit of audio processing magic in Reaper, those screams sound like this. Let's record a few more things. Yeah. And let's layer them with a bit more source in Reaper. Altogether, it sounds like... Let's take a listen in the game. And there you have it. Thank you for watching, thank you for playing, and I'll see you next time. Have a great TennoCon, everyone.
Thank you, Jess. I think she's here. Fantastic video. Thank you so much. You know, so Warframes have their own kind of lore embedded in it. If you know anything about Kulervo, those chains make a whole lot of sense, I gotta say. And the angry screaming, and the death, and everything that goes into it. But, you know, through sound and storytelling, I think one of the biggest drivers of that is our voice actors. And we are so lovely to be joined by one on stage today.
I am not a voice actor.
What did you voice? I don't know.
I am not.
Are you sure?
She was a cabat, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
So, Reb, you've been the Lotus. The Lotus has been with us for many, many years. I think like beyond 10 years. Like you were open, closed beta, all that
March
goodness.
2012, we did some of our early recordings for things. It's been a long time.
Very convenient for you to name that date because I have some old and some more recent Lotus VO that we can kind of compare to see her journey over the years.
We need to divert this vessel, bypass the navigation system, and upload the new coordinates.
You are a mask with nothing behind it.
So good. I love her so much. I know, Rev. Yes, clap for Rev. She's so great. We love her. But you know, the Lotus, there's some spoilers here, but if you're at TennoCon, like, I'm sorry, but the Lotus has gone on a very long and complicated journey. She's had many names and many faces, you know, Margulis, the Lotus, Nata. How have you approached the different facets of her such, you know, complex character and made them feel as their own, you know?
It's method acting. I just pretend I'm Lotus and let people tell me what to do. So they program me for whatever it is we're going for. And George I think you were the first person to direct me as Lotus, if not the first.
Yeah, it's been a crazy fun journey. And yeah. You were a natural from the start.
I think I've unfortunately been in every single one of your booths for a Lotus recording session, and this reveals why I'm the Lotus, because whenever they need something, anyone can just grab me to record a line, and convenience over quality.
No, not at all. Not at all. You're synonymous with the sound of Warframe, right? Like, you're the most famous voice actor in the game, I think. They're all great, but...
Steve is Umbra, so...
That's true.
Stop stealing my lines, Rev. I can't believe this. Yeah.
But it's in 2012, when we did those early lines, we had no plot, and now we have a lot of plot. And every single line for the new war I recorded at home during COVID. So
I remember like the second dream lines too, and everything, and how emotional that was, and that was one of the highlights for me were those lines and like that whole situation of everything that happened there. But like now that I'm thinking about it, you've really grown into the role, and you know, again, like this line started off pretty straightforward, pretty, you know, just say the thing and it is the thing, and now it's a lot more emotion and depth to the character, and they sound great to me. So.
Yeah, it is a dream come true, and I'm just happy. But the weirdest thing now is I refuse. Well, you know, I'm not going to spoil it, but I have a very hard time reconciling giving the Lotus any more lines, because I'm like, I know her, and maybe she should shut up. But
I think she deserves a nap, if anything. That girl deserves like a vacation.
Yeah, she's on. Lotus is
Other than the one she took for 2 years, but we won't speak of that.
She's on vacation in game for a bit. We'll see. No spoilers.
Is there any, you know, voice treatment that you've given between like Nata, Margulis, and Lotus to really kind of make them feel distinct from each other?
Yeah, I think a lot of the Margulis and Lotus difference was in the performance. A lot of it, you know, Margulis is a little. There's more. I mean, Lotus has a lot more emotion now, but definitely a number of years ago, Lotus was just, you know, trying to keep her kind of straightforward and keep her impartial, and Margulis was definitely, you know, had a lot more emotion in the lines and in the read, and that's what helped to kind of bridge that gap, and some of the processing and stuff we put on, and that as well.
They love that answer, George.
They love that. Thank you. But yeah, a lot, you know, and this is the thing. Like, I think, you know, enough can't be said for a great performance, and that goes for any sound design, any music, anything. It all starts with the performance, and if you don't have the performance, you don't have a great line. So, yeah.
I mean, speaking of performance, Reb is just one facet of the amazing cast of voice actors who contribute to our game and lend their talent to us and really breathe life into the characters. I'm not going to name names because there are so many of them and I'm going to forget someone, but there actually are at the convention quite a few of them. So if you see them around, you hear Till Regor randomly shouting, probably someone who will sign your autograph if you want it. But it's not only voice actors who contribute to the game's sound. We have musicians and we also have composers. Matt, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story with Warframe?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been working with Keith Power for about 8 years now. I was telling the guys backstage that my dad taught him way back, like years ago, and Keith and George were doing sound for what was it?
I think it was a Canadian coffee place. It's a first and a last name.
Yes, thank you. And they needed sound of like some children playing road hockey. So I was part of that, and that was my first check for $25. So I've known Keith and George my whole life, technically.
Yeah. And so every check thereafter has been $25. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Not at all. No.
Not even adjusted for inflation? Like, that's crazy.
$26.50. No, I'm just kidding.
Amazing. So the next slide that I have actually has music from Matt on it. So Dean, if you want to adjust the volume. I don't know how much time I need. I'm just like in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2. You're the best. Thank you. So, Matt, you have specifically worked on the Angels of the Zariman update and Duviri, two of my most favorite updates. I'm not biased at all. In the background, you guys can hear actually some of the Angels soundtrack. I hope you guys can hear from home. But do you want to tell us a little bit how you approached like capturing the sound of such like a cosmic body horror enemy?
Yeah, sure. So I think the main request from Eric and George was to have some kind of vocal, but it had to be sort of a terrifying, horrific vocal. So I was like, what if I just pitch my voice up? So it's funny seeing the YouTube comments because everybody's like, these are such scary vocals. And I'm like, that's just me in my studio going, ah, la, 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 la. So I am the terrifying woman.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was a really fun track to work on.
I just found that out today.
That's you?
I didn't really want to tell Eric because I thought you might start, because when I hear it, I just hear my voice going, la, 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 la. And I'm like, that's not convincing, but apparently it's scary, so.
It definitely, gets on your skin, and I think it almost adds to it knowing that it's Matt Chalmers just pitching his voice up. That is so incredibly good. I think we all need a moment. That is incredible. But, speaking about music, we always get questions about soundtracks, and I'm sure if you've been watching, you've heard that we finally have our second volume of our soundtrack. Our first one was released back in 2017, so we've got like 6 years of music. So much to cover.
It's funny because I started working on it, I guess in 2022, last year, and I was like, we're overdue for another soundtrack. And I was trying to think back, so I looked at the old one and where we left off, and that came out in like 2018, so got about 5. And some tracks that are on the new soundtrack weren't on the original soundtrack as well, so it really spans a lot of years. But yeah, it's like 3 discs and 34 tracks, and there's a bonus 7-inch as well with some of Matt's music on there from Duviri. And it's like over 2 hours of music, and it's kind of cool. You talk about sound design and where we've come. When you listen to the music as well, you listen to tracks from back in the day, like Smiles from Duran, I don't know. That's one of my personal favorite tracks, and it brings you back, right? Yeah. And you just kind of get all those emotions again. And so it was it's a labor of love to put something like that together. So yeah, really excited about it.
It is incredible. I don't know if it's sold out on store or here at the merch booth, so I'm very sorry. But I do believe we are going to add it to streaming and all the other online places.
Yeah. We wanted to give everyone a first crack at buying the hard copy, and then but streaming will come as well soon.
Exactly. So you can cry to Smiles from Duran as much as you want, without any issue.
Yeah, my Spotify at the end of the year better have you on it. Spotify Wrapped.
There's a few on there.
And Matt Chalmers. It'll be great.
Yes, and Matt Chalmers and Keith Power.
Number 1
Keith
fan.
Power.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to give give a shout out to Keith Power as well. You know, working on Warframe with him for a long, long time, and he wrote some of the most amazing pieces. You know, We All Live Together, again, this amazing Sleeping in the Cold Below, and so much great music for Warframe. So he's on there as well, obviously. So yeah, shout out to Keith Power. So.
Shout out to Keith. You know, we can't, you know, speak to the incredible music that's on the soundtrack without also talking about the incredible music that just came out with Duviri, like 4 months ago? How long ago was it?
Duviri was 4 months ago, and now we're at TennoCon.
Hard to believe.
Oh boy.
So if you've played any Duviri at all, and I hope that you have, because it is beautiful and wonderful and magical, there is the opera singer and the incredible orchestra. And I know, George, you and your team actually went to, I believe it was Toronto?
Me, Eric, and Matt, and Steve, and Rebecca was there as well, and we went, and and again, maybe Matt could speak to this, but writing with samples is great, but recording the real thing is that much better.
Yeah, like you can't use a MIDI string quartet. It's just you can't fake it. So we had to do the real thing, and and props to you guys for doing it. That was awesome.
Yeah, it worked out really well. And I remember, the initial drafts that you sent when we were working through the piece, we only heard it in MIDI form for so long. And when we finally got to the session and heard it come to life, it was pure magic. So
okay. Before I play my video, Matt, now that we know that you were the angel music, did you also do like a pitched up version of Lucinia's opera for the demo, or like?
Shh, don't give it away.
There's probably some demos that I don't know. Did you guys hear me sing the?
I think you did do.
Yeah, there was one. Yeah.
I think I immediately deleted it once we got Francesca.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have, kind of a lengthy behind-the-scenes video of that entire process. So, Dean, if you want to hit it, we can listen to that now and watch it as well.
Well, the music we recorded here today is going to define the Duviri landscape because we knew we wanted the players to jump in and feel part of a mood.
In Duviri, the landscape changes based on the daily emotion of Dominus Thrax, so we really wanted to reflect that in the music that you hear as you play the game.
His curse upon you.
Maybe there is something about him that represents the emotional state of humankind, and his current state, if you will, is to sort of rule the land of Duviri. He is the emperor, the king, the ruler of everything that is Duviri and all its citizens, including judge, jury, executioner to you, the drifter.
Carry on.
Hey.
Hi there.
Check. 1, 2. Check.
We felt that recording a live quartet would help ground all of the pieces more closely to reality and how you might feel on a daily basis. I'm Eric, lead sound designer on Warframe, and I'm working on the latest update of Duviri. The important part of the sound design that we really wanted to focus on for this update was really feeling a difference in the different emotions.
And we picked 5 moods, which we are very simplistically calling, joy, sadness, anger, envy, and fear. So the music needs to bring those emotions to the forefront.
So each day when you enter Duviri, we really wanted the player, you, to kind of identify with the current mood of the landscape. So as you play, the moods and sounds all sort of change and live together as one single piece.
And I feel like she's kind of helping guide them as
well.
Yeah.
That was my thought for recording.
Hi, I'm George Spanos, and I'm the audio director at Digital Extremes. Samples are great, but they don't convey all of the right emotions all of the time. So you don't get that interplay between musicians and the music. So having live musicians in the room really brings the piece to life. especially the singer, there's no comparison for it. She's just really able to convey all of the moods in Duviri. Hopefully that's conveyed to you, the player, as well.
The main characters represent an emotion or a mood, and Lucinia is sorrow or sadness, and she is to represent the sort of darkest feelings of humanity.
But she also sort of conveys the feeling of the landscape throughout the story itself. So it was important for her to explore all of the different emotions that you'll go through as a player in the landscape.
Matt was a very willing participant to go along with us for the ride and try out different things and experiment with different sounds and experiment with different sections of the pieces to make sure that we conveyed all of the emotion that we need to in Duviri.
Hi, I'm Matthew Chalmers. I'm doing the music for the Duviri Paradox. I've been doing a little bit of writing along with Keith Power for Warframe for a bit, and now I'm switching over into larger role, not the harmonic off the top, just maybe the same note that you, just not harmonic. We're really trying to get the anger and the sad and the happy, and it was very challenging to figure out how to write one piece that goes in between all those different feelings without it seeming like disjointed and three different pieces kind of pushed into one. So the approach there is just working on themes, melodies that kind of thread everything together. I usually sit down at the piano a little bit and just kind of plunk out some ideas, and my voice memo app is filled with stuff that got thrown away and probably earlier versions of this, and I just sing along, pretend I'm the opera singer and sing in my falsetto. But yeah, no, I just pick away at it and take a break from it, come back the next day, check it out, and then I start kind of doing a mock-up on the computer, hear what it sounds like with the cello playing that melody. Oh, okay, maybe I'll change it to the viola. Just start experimenting, and then, yeah, great overall. I mean, we can keep running it, and if you guys have any comments, let me know.
Recording in a beautiful studio with amazing musicians, great music, really exceeded our expectations. You hear the kind of the mock-ups and the demos, and they sound great, but until you hear the real thing, you don't get the full extent of it. And we're so happy and proud to let the players hear that. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's good. I think that was good. Yeah?
Fantastic, guys.
Yeah? All right, thank you.
I can confirm, it was good. Great job.
It was good.
I was hoping that they didn't cut it out. I was like, please don't swap, please don't swap. We're golden. Incredible. Yeah, we've kind of talked at length about this, but is there any other notes that you guys want to mention about the music of Duviri specifically? Otherwise, I got some mood, like landscape videos that we can go through after, so.
I do want to shout out Keith Power one more time just for the beautiful themes that he wrote for Duviri. Made my job a whole lot easier, just based everything off of that. So I think that's one of my favorite Warframe pieces, probably that ambient piece that he wrote for Duviri.
Was it Ave Lucinia? Is that what it was, or is it a different one?
Yeah, I think he definitely wrote the themes, some of the themes over the years. We were kind of playing with different things and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think the main kind of, a lot of the motifs and stuff that you incorporated evolved from some of his stuff as well, so.
Phenomenal. Well, my next slide, as I mentioned, has some actual landscape sounds from the moods, because if you spent any time on Duviri, like me, I roam around on my horse, and then I catch fish, and I kill enemies, and it's phenomenal, but the landscape sounds between each spiral is just top tier, so just a volume warning for that one. But Eric, my friend, I know that you worked so hard, you and the team worked so hard and diligently to make each landscape feel unique and distinct. Do you want to talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, when we first heard about what we were going to be working on, we knew that we really wanted to try and push the envelope as far as we could with ambient sounds and really have them feel different depending on the mood of Dominus Thrax. So The sound team, shout out to the sound team. They did a fantastic job putting it all together. All the little details that you hear from birds and wind whistling through the reeds, that's all hand placed by the sound team meticulously. And each kind of element in the landscape has many different layers to it depending on the mood. So you may have one type of bird chirping in all the trees during the angry mood, and then when you go to a calm mood, you have a different type of bird chirping. And we did that same thing with field sounds, flags flapping in the wind get more aggressive when it's angry and windy. All the background sounds, crickets, when it gets scary, the crickets come up, and when it's happy, you change to different type of insects. So we really spent a lot of time handcrafting it to really fit the vibe of each mood for that day.
Phenomenal. The care and love that went into it is so obvious. Like right now we're listening to Joy, so Mathilla's, and you can hear like the birds chirping, but I have anger next actually with my boy Loden. And like I know that there's different weather effects that you have to capture too. Like he's got the big meteors, and there's like growling of random animals in anger, for example. Like
absolutely, yeah. Just trying to get the feel of his emotion through different types of vocalizations, grabbing animal sounds and sounds with our own voice. Really, nothing was kind of left off the table. And again, the sound team, I can't praise them enough. They did a great job with it. So, yeah.
Is it the same with like the ambient music too, or is that mostly Matt? Like, because you can hear kind of like the deep.
Yeah, the ambient is a similar approach. Yeah. But it's a weird crossover with the sound design, right? Because sometimes you're creating pads that are very like organic sounding and not necessarily tonal. So we're just trying to find a way, and often Eric will like tune something if my music is in a certain key, just to make it all flow nicely.
Yeah, once the music comes in and we've kind of established the piece, there's often a stage that we go through where we're stripping out different layers and figuring out how the music and the ambience can kind of live as one. So as you're running around the ambience, sometimes you might only hear sort of a small portion of the music, and then sometimes the music will swell and you'll hear all of the stems together, and that's all done at runtime dynamically. So it really allows you to go through a journey. It's not just kind of a two-track piece of music that plays the whole time. So it's really important to establish that.
Yeah, so when I'm writing, I'm picturing like, okay, what would level 1 of this ambient track sound like? And then it's getting a little bit more intense. Okay, so there's a lot of layers that are involved. And yeah, then it gets all programmed into the game.
So I'm just learning that sound design is like an ogre.
Shout out to our tools programmers for
that too.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just doing a Shrek joke, but here you are actually throwing it to the team.
I want to give a shout out to one of our programmers, Jem, who helped a lot with the dynamic system. He was able to help us develop a system where, based on the current mood, all of those sounds can change instantly, which helped tremendously. So yeah, shout out to Jem. Thank you.
My next slide is sorrow, but speaking of like dynamic sounds, like when you go into the caves especially, like those are also a completely different experience. So like how did you approach making the landscape and like the Duviri caves with that Zeramin influence feel so different?
Yeah, so same kind of thing with the caves is based on the system that Jem helped with. We're able to change the music up completely and the ambience up completely when you go into the caves. So I really wanted to establish a completely different vibe when you go in there, and using some, vocal stems from your tracks, Matt, arranging them in different ways to really make it feel like you're in the belly of the beast. So
that's such a great vision for that. I love it so much. Speaking of beasts, thank you for that gift of a transition. You're on Duviri, you're roaming around as your drifter, but you also have your trusty steed, the Cave. And Willem, I know specifically you have worked, you had your Monty Python moment, I heard, to make the sound design. Before you jump into it, I do have a video for context, so we'll listen to that at full volume, and then we'll go from there. It's all you.
All right, yeah. Monty Python, I guess, right? Oh, yeah, so Eric and I, first of all, they developed kind of the sounds of the Duviri horse back when they did the trailer. And they came up with all the metallic processing on the voice, which was absinthe, I believe, and you had metallic resonators. And later on, I decided to add in some wild boar in there for a bit of aggression. But yeah, the Monty Python thing, we had a lot of horse source, but we needed to get some more footstep source. And there's this classic Hollywood trick of using coconut shells, and we decided, hey, what the heck, let's try it out. And turns out, yes, they do sound like horse hooves, and that's what we ended up using.
Did you already have the coconuts, or were you like, it's pina colada time?
Actually, it was like a last-minute thing. Eric had to, talk to his wife to see if they could get the last coconut in the kitchen.
Yeah, my wife had purchased some coconuts, and I begged her to let me have them. I need these for some horse hoof sounds.
And I showed up at Eric's house, and he was sawing the coconut in half.
Amazing.
And we
more difficult
it outside too, like at the conservation area.
Yeah, and so we went outside. George, Eric, and I, we went out on a field recording trip, and I guess the other thing that made it interesting is we used a below-ground microphone, a geophone. It's a seismic mic, so it picks up low-frequency rumbles from the earth, and I decided let's plant this thing in the earth and have the above-ground mic as well, and it ended up giving us the big weight that you hear in Keith.
That is amazing. I mean, like part of the sound design as well is the drifter callouts. You know, you really feel like connected to your beast, I guess you can say. So what was the process of kind of designing those?
Yeah, so we ended up in a place where we had all the horse sounds that we needed, and we just said, you know what, one thing that would make this really over the edge and believable, and also give you a sense of connection to the animal, or a connection between the rider and the animal would be if the rider would start speaking and giving the horse commands, whistling when you start running, doing some odd vocalizations when you're flying and stuff like that. So.
Are any of you horse people, or was this like you had to Google it, or like how did you know how people talk to their horses?
Just life experience.
Reb, did you chime in?
I'm a horse girl, but I recused myself from that conversation.
I actually contacted Rebecca. I was like, hey, Rebecca, do you have a horse available that we could...
I actually had a falling out with my horse person, so it was a really dark time.
Yeah, so I asked you right after that happened.
And so then you decided to add horses in Warframe
it's revenge.
But who needs to record horses when you have coconuts?
Exactly. It's true. There's a reason why they do it. You know, it's fantastic. Yeah. So we've talked to some of our amazing sound team who are on the stage, but there are so many other individuals who've contributed to the sounds of Duviri. And one of them is Giovanni, and they worked on the beautiful Rauta shotgun. So I have another video for you, Dean, if you want to spool it up.
Kill the house lights.
I'm blind, I can't.
Hey everyone, this is Giovanni, and I'm going to show you how I created sounds for the Rauta, the new shotgun. Let's take a look.
For this gun, I was looking for a nice blend between a double-barreled shotgun and something more futuristic. My idea was that the sound could match the sci-fi vibe, like the glittering elements on it, but at the same time you don't have many bullets in the chamber, so every shot needed to be huge. To be able to create what I had in mind, I used this BB gun, this camera, this aluminum straw, and this guitar pedal. With the BB gun, I was able to extract several clicks or rattles. After some editing and processing, here's what I used to make the reload sound, along with some other pre-recorded sounds. The pedal was used for when the shotgun is reloaded too. I had this idea of inserting a guitar cable into the pedal, and then I pitched down the recording. Here's what it sounds. With the camera, I got the flash sound that is played just after the shot. You may notice that there is a high sound playing along with the flash. That's me hitting the straw on a doorknob. You can hear the edited version and then my original recording. After all these experiments, this is how the gun sounds in the game context.
So this is how I created sounds for the Rauta, and that's all for me. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the show. See ya!
That's the cool thing, right? Like you see all of those individual elements, and you're like, oh, what's one little sound gonna make? And then you put it all together, and it's like, geez, like it's this huge, weapon sound. Sound design never ceases to amaze me personally. So
the camera thing,
and the camera,
super cool.
I'm
Say
never gonna
cheese.
stop
The
thinking about
old
it.
school camera. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're running on time here, so I want to make sure that we get all the videos in. But in Giovanni's video specifically, and kind of in our conversations, you mentioned you do a lot of like field recording or like using pre-recording sounds. So we have a video from Mark that we'll kind of close the show with. But do you want to talk a little bit about why you do that process and all of that stuff?
Yeah, it's very important to us to, record a lot of our own sounds. It makes the game, it makes Warframe sound really unique. It's sort of like cooking, if you go out and you tend to your garden and you pick the fresh tomatoes and the fresh basil and you add all the spices, it just tastes that much better, and there's that labor of love that comes through. So whenever we can, we try to go out and record our own sounds. And, it might be something, like you saw in Giovanni's video, it might be something simple as, dropping a rock on the ground. You're like, what are you ever going to use that for? But that can end up in a Warframe power. Or a bird chirp could be, stretched out and turned into like a weird creature sound. So having as much of those sounds as possible to draw from lets us make truly unique sound design in the game. So yeah, we try to do it as much as possible. So.
I mean, we were talking earlier, like you mentioned we have like a ginormous sound library as a result of like 10 plus years of working. And
yeah, like the sounds in the game. This morning I was like, how many sounds do we have in the game? And so I just went to the sounds folder and I did the properties on it. And it was like 80,000 sound and music files, individual files. Over like 70 gigabytes uncompressed of sound and music in Warframe. I couldn't believe it. And dialogue, like chunks of dialogue, about 30,000 separate chunks. So some of those are like multiple lines in one, some of those are just one line. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to look at all of the content that's in the game. So
10 years, man. It builds up. Clearly a testament to all of your amazing work. So yeah.
And I want to just shouting out to the rest of the team as well. It's always an honor and a pleasure to work with everyone, and they're all so talented. So yeah, it's definitely team effort all the way. So.
Amazing. So we do have a video from Mark, like I mentioned. This is going to be some of our field recording in the beautiful Canadian wilderness. This is going to be a bit of a chill video, lots of earth and grass and stuff. So if you're like me and you don't go outside enough, this is like your pass for today. So Dean, if you want to spool that up for me, that'd be great. So beautiful.
You never know where you hear some of those sounds.
Yeah.
They'll show up in the game somewhere, somehow.
Coming soon.
You are a terrifying team. The most liable to throw a rock at you. Like
Right.
that is.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I love my job, but the fact that I don't get paid to throw rocks off a cliff makes me question my
Gets the
career
aggression out.
choices.
I am never. Yeah.
It's a safe way to get the aggression out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've spoken so much about how incredible our sound team is, but we truly would not be here at GE without everyone here in the community, whether you're at TennoCon or you're watching from home. Thank you so much. And I've heard rumor that sound designers always have a microphone in their pocket. So I figured, what better way to commemorate 10 years than maybe to record the crowd and see if we can use it in the future. Field recording.
We have a very specific recording we want from the biggest group possible. And all of it will make sense in the far, far future.
So what is it, Rebecca?
We would like, I'm going to tell you what to say, and then as a group, we're going to say it. We are going to count down from 10 to 1, and then we're all going to shout Happy New Year. So we're doing a New Year's countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. I'll lead it without a microphone, so it sounds ambient.
Perfect.
And on your ready, if you want to join up here, just put your mics down, and we're gonna holler. So if you're listening and you can join the countdown when I start at 10. Just follow along, and we may or may not need this in the future.
Even at home, this is your Dora the Explorer moment.
Yeah.
You get to
Even at
participate,
home.
even
We'll
if
use
we
it
don't get to
somewhere.
record you.
We'll use it somewhere.
We are rolling. I think we got it in one take.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was so great.
That's the Rebecca promise, one take
Man,
wonder.
That was fantastic.
Phenomenal. So, I truly don't know how we're going to follow that, but I actually have an incredible asset from our community. We did a call out for We All Live Together covers, and we have compiled them together. So we're going to send you off with...
Can we sing along?
No.
Yes.
Absolutely
Can
not.
we? Can we?
Oh, you can. Not me, but you can.
Okay.
Please do. We have 50 performers from over 14 countries who contributed to this. So this truly is our love letter to all of you. We truly all live together. Dean, hit it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for playing. Thank you.
together.